Thank you, everyone, for being here, and thank you, Esxence, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and standing in front of you. Last year was my first year at Esxence, and I saw Michael Edward render this amazing journey through oud, which was one of the most amazing experiences I've had as a perfumer. Um, I would like to thank Esxence, and I would like to thank Cecile Tolas, who is an odor artist based in Berlin, my mentor and guide. I wish she was here. Chameli Zai Mogra, Juhi Motia Yutika, Kunda Kunda Malay Zayo, Pikak Malige Malika, Sampaguita, Sambak, Moliva, Jasmine, Akanpal, Kasamin, Jisame, Yasmin, Chambeli, Gelsomino, or simply Jasmine. The names of these flowers are many, and so are its lovers. Anyone who comes in contact with it falls in love and has deep connections at multiple levels, with the self first and then the world around them. Consciously or subconsciously, a love affair starts. Of course, it's known to have aphrodisiac qualities like no other flower on both the sexes, just like its name, which is so feminine, romantic, luminous, and exquisite. Jasmine is love at first sniff. The name Sampaguita is a Spanish term which comes from the Filipino word Sampakita, which means I promise you. In Arabic and Persian, it's referred as a gift from God. There isn't a corner of this world where this flower is not known. But despite its global familiarity, let me reintroduce you all again to jasmine. It has a very special place in our heart. Think of any occasion and you can smell its presence long before it catches your eyes. It's an ancient smell of calm, cool beauty of the night. You know the jasmine only blooms when the temperature drops and the sun sets. The small white flowers look like little stars. The ancient knew the power of jasmine, the Persians, the Greeks, the Egyptians. The flower is also mentioned in the Vedas, Mahabharata, and Kama Sutra across India. They all knew this flower has healing as well as sensual properties. A few years ago, interdisciplinary artists based in New York set out to find the most important natural scents to human in order to what she called a world scent. And what do you think was the most popular scent? Yes, that was jasmine. Numerous people she has spoken with throughout the years of ethnobotanical research assured her that jasmine sends inspirational olfactory messages that communicate hope, confidence, and optimism. In India, jasmine mole, commonly called jui, is used by women in their hair. It is also used in various religious ceremonies. To the Chinese, jasmine represents feminine kindness, grace, delicacy, as well as means of attracting wealth and romance. In Thailand, jasmine symbolizes motherhood. In Hawaii, Jasminum sambac with its clustered white flowers are called pikak and fashioned into leis or garlands. In Philippines, sampaguita is considered to be a symbol of purity, devotion, strength, and dedication. Jasmine shrubs with their soulful, complex scent are a dominant plant of Middle East and North Africa. The scent is part of the population's common sensory chemistry, a familiarity imprinted in a long-term memory. Throughout the Middle East and beyond, the odor molecules of jasmine, which bloom almost continuously in that part of the world, are significant and meaningful in various ways. In aromatherapy, jasmine is used for its relaxing qualities. The jasmine is considered pure and auspicious, has been mentioned in the most ancient scripts. It's used almost in all ceremonies in Asia. In many ways, it has changed the way our consciousness, as well as since we have used this flower to pray, to heal, to meditate, and to celebrate. It has changed the way we perceive these emotions, adding a very complex layer of emotional responses. I have traveled a long distance today from Goa, India to Milan, Italy. It's not just the distance, but the sheer change in environment that baffles my mind. I think the East and the West has always had this contrast. But then we always find our own way to connect it to home and feel welcome and feel comfortable. And for me, honestly, it's always been the jasmine, and that's what I'm here to talk about today in front of you. It's one of the best things that travel on the spice route, which is less known and less talked about. Uh, so MoLab Jasmine presentation today will cover the following aspects of jasmine and its existence. My jasmine journey, why jasmine is so important to me. First flower cultivated by man for its fragrance. The myths and legends stories of jasmine, its relationship to spirituality, love, and purity. The aphrodisiac qualities of jasmine and the role it has played in perfumery. Smelling some of the jasmine extracts, I have some very ancient perfumes as well as some new ones. Best jasmine compositions available today. My jasmine journey, for as long as I can remember, I love to smell. Give me anything in my hand, I put it to my nose first. But most of all, I try and find presence of jasmine. I'm convinced, although I have no proof, that that was the first thing I ever smelled along with my mother. But my subconscious love for the flower started in my childhood. My grandmother, which is called Aji in my language, was this gorgeous, amazing looking woman with her 9 yard sari and a nose ring and had some sort of a regal air. She was obsessed with jasmine and she had a jasmine garden full of jasmine. And I followed her everywhere, definitely to her jasmine garden. I wanted to look like her, be like her, but most importantly, I wanted to smell like her. And that was the beginning of my obsession with jasmine. My father, at the judge and a constant gardener, decided to grow jasmine in his spare time. And jasmine, pots of jasmine followed us everywhere we traveled after that. At the age of 22, as a young photographer, I moved to Chennai, which is very close to jasmine capital of India, Madurai. When I moved to Chennai, I could not speak the local language. I did not know anybody there. But then I slowly realized that it's very close to jasmine capital, and there was jasmine available at every street corner. I went out every evening and got a bag full of jasmine. My house smelled like a jasmine cloud. To cut a long story short, one day a man from perfume industry landed at my doorstep and changed the course of my life. And soon I realized that my dog-like, nosy qualities had a purpose to it. He introduced me to the world of perfumery, sense of smell, emotions, all packed in tiny little bottle, and my training as a perfumer started. Then about 2 years ago, I was just not happy with the quality of jasmine available in my lab. So I went out there to Madurai in search of that perfect quality jasmine sambak. And it was at that time that I reconnected with jasmine all over again. I met a young little girl who came running to me and gave jasmine in my hands. And I realized that the flower has this power that it always makes anybody who comes in contact with it happy. It's almost contagious, its presence. And most importantly, it makes little girls dream. So I sat down in that jasmine field and decided I'm going to dive deep into the jasmine universe to find out what it is about that it makes everybody smile and makes little girls dream. So I sat down there and wrote a poem to remind myself why I'm on this path. Jasmine Land, as I called it. In the land of jasmine, where little girls dream, aura of mystery, unknown, heady smell of living, where little flowers bloom and brightness intoxicates. Hopes are high and dreams are real. A web of memory and desire come together every morning in the fields of jasmine. They bloom and delight, living the life of giving. The pleasure of their existence is never theirs alone. In the land of jasmine, where little girls dream. The jasmine flower is known for its subtle beauty and aroma. In the old world, jasmine had a symbolic place in many ancient cultures and continues to do so even today. For thousands of years, the jasmine plant has been cultivated for not only its beauty of its small white star-like flowers, but it has been prized for its intoxicating scent since ancient times. Jasmine has been cultivated for its essential oil, and varieties of jasmine, like Jasminum grandiflorum, have been used in perfumes. Originating in the foothills of the Himalayas and the Ganges plains, the plant was first cultivated in India. The original habitat of jasmine is considered to be India, which alone possesses about 42 different species, all with different olfactory characteristics. Ghaziampur in Uttar Pradesh has traditionally been the center of jasmine cultivation, which is very close to ancient which is very close to the ancient distillation center in India, a small little town called Kanauj. Kanauj has been guarding the secret of ittar, the traditional Indian perfumes, for centuries. It's somewhere up north in that green area. Kanauj and Ghaziampur both are on the banks of Ganges, which is absolutely stunning landscape. This is what the area looks like. You have the plains of Ganges and distillation centers and the typical very, very old ittar shops in Ghaziampur. The earliest, the word attar, ittar, or atra is an Arabic word which in turn has been, which means scent, but which in turn has been derived from the Sanskrit word sugandha. The earliest distillations were mentioned in the Ayurvedic text Chakra Samhita. It's believed to have been compiled around 400 to 200 BC, one of the oldest and the most important ancient documents on Ayurveda. The earliest distillations were also mentioned in the Harshacharita, written in the 7th century, which was a first historical biography written in Sanskrit. It also appears in Sangam literature 300 BC to 300 AD, in Mahabharata, which was in 500 BC, and Kama Sutra in the 4th century AD. There are traces of jasmine in Indian art, sculpture, jewelry, and painting. Sculptures from the Pallava dynasty, a place called Kanchipuram and Mahabalipuram, which was built in around 7th century AD, has sculptures where the girls are wearing jasmine flowers in their hair. From India, jasmine traveled to China, the Middle East, and the other regions from where it spread to France, Italy, Mediterranean, and eventually it was introduced to the Western Europe and Britain. Today, jasmine is grown and cultivated all over the world in its many varieties. References to the jasmine flower can be found in ancient Chinese, Persian, Egyptian, and Indian writings. The flower was revered by the royalty in China and traded along the Silk Route. As a gift of Arab trade network, it reached France in 1548. The jasmine was first cultivated in Provence, in France. In China, jasmine flower was used for its fragrant oil and mixed with green tea leaves to make jasmine-flavored tea. The Chinese emperor of the Song dynasty had Sampa Goita growing in his palace grounds to enjoy its heavenly fragrance. Of the 200 species of jasmine, the first plant was known by the name, the Arabian jasmine, known by the term Jasminum sambac. This may be the best place to start, best starting point to trace the history of jasmine flower. Without a doubt, this flower is native to Asia. But many botanists have believed that Persia, now Iran, is where jasmine originated. It crossed the Red Sea into Egypt as early as 1000 BC, then found its way into Turkey and Greece. Madurai, the temple town in Tamil Nadu, in South India, is home to jasmine production. 95% of the jasmine grown across 900 acres is used in garlands and ceremonies. The rest of 500-odd ton annual produce is used for extraction by the global fragrance and spa industry. I have a short little film on Madurai here for you to see. It gives you a feel of what Indian fields, the countryside look like, where the jasmine flowers are grown. This is a film made by Paul Austin Group And it's a beautiful film. Sorry, I'll just keep it here. Today, jasmine de grasse is the most expensive jasmine available in the market. The only widely available perfume using it is Chanel No. 5 Extrait de Parfum. It is sweeter and fruitier than the more commonly available jasmine from Italy, India, Morocco, Egypt, responsible for 80% of the jasmine production. Of course, it's French. Jasmine is produced in Morocco, France, Italy, Egypt, Guinea, and Comoro Islands, India, Lebanon, China, Taiwan, and Japan. Global demand for global demand level for jasmine concrete is around 500 tons per annum. Tunisia was the ancient site of Carthage and a fundamental province of Arab and Turkish empire. Jasmine has been the smell the people preferred in Tunisia. They grow it themselves. So there is a lot of it throughout the country. Jasmine is not only their national flower, its fragrance is one of preference and traditional regional familiarity. In Algeria, everyone grows jasmine. Jasmine water is kept in homes and sprinkled on guests to welcome them. Although Egypt is represented by lotus in the World Sensorium, the species Jasminum sambac has been indigenous and is commonly indigenous in the country and is grown since ancient times. It has been used in this country's first perfumes. Today, some of the best jasmine extracts come from Egypt. Jordan offers a broader insight into the scent in Arab world. The history of fragrance is strong in Islam. The Quran mandated that you must stand clean and of good scent in front of God. Physical cleanliness is one of the tenets. Be at your best of clothing and scent. That is why the houses of Esxence are found next door to the mosque. The old scents were jasmine and amber. The evolution of our use of plants such as jasmine can be traced through medicine, mythology, religion, and anthropology. Natural odors possess power, and our long cultural association with naturally aromatic materials continues to shape our world. Of all our senses, our sense of smell lasts the longest. It develops before birth, and is the last sense to go when we die. because a very large part of our brain is devoted to olfactory function. We can remember a smell for a lifetime. Lucretius, the Roman philosophical poet, said, "By smell we perceive the soul of things." Myths and legends of stories of jasmine. In India, there is a myth, an ancient myth that a princess who fell in love with the sun god Suryadeva tries to explain why jasmine flowers will open its petals only at night. Um, According to the myth, the sun god rejected princess's love, and she was so heartbroken that she killed herself, and her ashes were thrown on the ground. And because sun god was responsible for her death, her petals will open only at night and release its perfume. In Italy, jasmine is a bridal flower, according to a myth. In Tuscany, 1699, the Grand Duke of Tuscany was given a beautiful gift of variety of jasmine called Goa Jacione. The rare species had such beauty and fragrance that the Grand Duke jealously guarded it and strictly banned his gardener to part with a single cutting. But the gardener was in love, and one day he slipped a tiny little perfume spray into a posy for his sweetheart. She loved its perfume so much that she planted a mulch with the hope that it will grow. And to her surprise, it grew into a healthy plant. From that plant, she planted many other plants and sold it to many people to enable her to marry her beloved gardener. From then on, there is a saying in Italy that she who is worthy to wear the jasmine wreath is worthy of fortune to her husband. There is the romance between um, Anthony and Cleopatra might have changed the world. If Anthony had succeeded in winning the sole control of Rome, with Cleopatra as his queen, he would have changed the course of Roman Empire, making the world we live in today a very different place. Cleopatra was a very seductive woman, and she used her talents to maintain and expand her power. Her first conquest was Julius Caesar, and second, Mark Antony, who sought after her. Sorry. Um, who sought after her to help him build his empire. As Cleopatra, the queen of Egypt, was the richest woman at that time, he summoned Cleopatra to meet him in the city of Tarsus in modern day Turkey. As she made her journey up the river Cydnus, she traveled in a magnificent barge filled with flowers and scented with exotic perfumes, while she reclined on the deck surrounded by her servant, trappings of gold, and jasmine. It is said that Cleopatra, one of the world's most seductive queens and the gifted perfumers, went to meet Mark Antony in a ship with jasmine scented sails to accost him. Cleopatra is said to have wooed Antony with jasmine oil. In France, Louis XVI had a passion for jasmine scented sheets. It is still the favorite fragrance of French women. In China, a beautiful song titled Moliva can be heard throughout the country. It explains and talks about the beauty of jasmine flowers. This is one of the paintings from Rajasthan. The jasmine can be seen in various paintings through the time, depicted by different artists. There is a Caravaggio. It's a portrait of a courtesan, Renaissance period. Then there is Frank Bernard Dixie's Romeo and Juliet, and Gustave Moreau's Cleopatra. Its relationship to spirituality, love, and purity. In Persian, referred as a gift from God, in India, jasmine is a sacred flower of Hindu love god Kama, a fragrant emblem of love. Jasmine flowers are often entwined into bridal flowers at Indian weddings. This custom is said to promise the bridal couple deep and abiding, lasting affection for eternity. Jasmine is a symbol of divine hope in the Hindu religion. The Balinese people plant jasmine in their public and private temples. Also, Shivaratri Kalpa, an ancient Javanese text, states that jasmine should be used as an offering to God. Couples once upon a time exchanged sampaguita necklaces just as today's couples give wedding rings. A traditional Asian belief that jasmine penetrates the soul and opens up emotions. In Victorian Britain, jasmine was a fragrant symbol of amiability, cheerfulness, grace, and elegance. While other cultures see jasmine as a symbol of sensuality and romance, Victorians used it as a complement to shyness and modesty. It was seen as a fragrant and cheering part of any flower arrangement and was valued because of the difficulty growing in the cold climate. Typically, the jasmine flower blooms in May, which in Roman Catholicism is considered the month of Virgin Mary. The timing of its appearance, along with its beauty and pure white color, establishes a connection between jasmine and Mother Mary. As a representation of God's love, the flower can be seen in many religious paintings of the Italian Renaissance era. Its beauty and sweet scent have also inspired writers to name the jasmine flower as the poet's flower. Jasmine is valued in the East for the same reasons as in the West, its beauty and its lovely perfume. In Indian cultures, as in Western cultures, the flower symbolizes purity, used in home or in temples to represent desire for purity of spirit. In magical herbalism, the delicate jasmine bloom is associated with the moon. Night blooming jasmine is a natural for lunar enhancements and charm. The jasmine flowers were thought to promote prophetic dreams and to help encourage a spiritual love. Brides often carry jasmine in their bouquet to symbolize love and joy. As almost universally loved, jasmine evokes a memory of summery evenings and gentle breezes, lifting the spirits. One of my favorite poems of all times is by Rabindranath Tagore, which really describes our reaction to jasmine if you smell it when you're younger. The first white jasmines, as it's called, I'm just going to read the few lines. I have loved the sunlight, the sky, and the green earth. I have heard the liquid murmur of the river through the darkness of midnight. Autumn sunsets have come to me at the bend of the road, in the lonely waste, like a bride raising her veil to accept her lover. Yet my memory is still sweet with the first white jasmines that I held in my hand when I was a child. This was a beautiful poem written by Rabindranath Tagore, which really explains and talks about the emotional responses that we have with jasmine if you smell it when you're younger. Jasmine as an aphrodisiac and the role it has played in perfumery. One cannot imagine this world without this king of flowers. The world of fragrances starts with jasmine, which is one of the oldest and the most widely used botanical scents. Jasmine has been called both king and queen of flowers. Although delicate and feminine-like, jasmine is often described as being more masculine in scent and in its nature. Jasmine flowers exhale nearly perfect scent that is intensely floral, warm with undertones of fruit and perhaps tobacco and leather. It is impossible to describe its fragrance in words. One has to feel it deep within to understand its power and beauty. It is one of the most admired and intriguing materials available in perfumers' palette. No perfume without jasmine is an old saying, and most perfumers would agree passionately. The smell of jasmine is full of dichotomies. On one hand, it smells of banana and apricot jam, and on the other hand, it smells of horse sweat and mothballs, like some kind of a buried secret in your closet. It's just such a contrast that one just cannot get over that what is going on. You take a first whiff, it kind of seduces you, and then it peters off into something completely different. Even a hint of jasmine absolute can make such a huge difference to your composition. The perfumer's palette also include numerous synthetic jasmine substitutes. While they cannot rival jasmine's beauty and complexity, they're widely used. Romance aside, jasmine is one of the most expensive ingredients, and very few brands can afford it. The sheer effort involved in producing Jasmine Absolute is astonishing. It takes about 8,000 carefully hand-picked flowers to make about 1 gram, that is 1 ml of Jasmine Absolute. 6 million flowers are required to make 1 kg of Jasmine Absolute. That is about more than 800 hours of picking. Yes, it's crazy the amount of. Oof. Some things are beyond words, and scent of jasmine is one of them. It is simply heavenly. I doubt I will ever smell anything so lush and complex, which is non-replicable. Which is why which is why jasmine is one of the costliest fragrances in perfumery. Jasmine, with its 5-petal flower, still remains the symbol of French art of perfumery. It is luscious and complex and has very few rivals. There is an unmistakable element of luxury in its scent. Jasmine oil, jasmine oil is a natural oil with the most delicate, rich, very beautiful, sweet floral aroma, making it the valuable ingredient in most cosmetic products. The scent of jasmine always makes me think, what is its story about? And I think most of all, it's about magic. The perfumers are the wizards, and the jasmine perfume itself is the wand. If one could, if one could bought into the illusion, transform a person into someone prettier, sexier, and more charming, fragrance could erase boundaries of time and place. That is another magic. Today I have Egyptian jasmine and Indian jasmine for you to smell. Apart from that, I have 2 compositions, which is made by the Itarsas, the old perfumers from the Mughal period. You will smell the different contrast between the jasmine absolute, the pure jasmine smell, to the old compositions of the Indian Mughal period. Sorry. Oof. 10 people? Can I? Shoot. There you go. Can I put sorry. Can you pass it, please? Sorry. It's super strong. Sorry. Did everyone get it? Yeah. Did everyone get it? Okay. The first one is the Egyptian jasmine absolute. It's and this one is the Indian jasmine sambak. God. No. Bella. Sorry, can I give you this? This is the old Ittar. It's an ancient perfume. Bella. Sorry, can you pass this? Thank you. The last one is the old perfume from India. I talked about Kanoj, a place close to the first distillation center of jasmine. So this is a jasmine perfume, old traditional composition that you're smelling. It's called Ittar, yes. Kanoj. Kanoj. Thank you. Sorry, this is another second interpretation of jasmine from Kanoj. Sorry, can I give you this? Okay. This is the second one. So what you're smelling here, the first two strips were, first one was Egyptian jasmine, and second one was Indian jasmine. There's quite a lot of similarity in both the jasmine absolutes. And the last two are the fragrances from Ghaziampur, which is the first cultivation center in India of jasmine. It traveled to a place called Kanoj, which was the place where the traditional ittars were made. So what you're smelling here is the two old compositions of ittar made in Kanoj. I think somebody who's been so obsessed with jasmine, for me, it's, I have to go smelling jasmine every time I'm in Europe. I feel like a deprived child that I don't get to smell as many jasmine fragrances I get to smell in Europe. So I do smell quite a lot of jasmine fragrances, and here are some of the fragrances that I would like to talk about today, which I think is pretty much the best jasmine available in the market. Serge Lutens' A la Nuit is one of the most beautiful jasmine compositions. Even though its inspiration comes from Egypt, it always reminds me of an Indian bride wearing the jasmine garland around her neck. It's so opulent and it's so rich. It uses the prized jasmine absolute from Egypt, Morocco, and India. Sarraza, on the other hand, actually accentuates the very leathery quality of the jasmine, completely different. And Chanel No. 5 and Jopa 2's Joy are the two retro jasmines you just cannot go wrong with. They're just so beautiful, and so beautifully demonstrates that how a tiny little bit of jasmine can change the composition completely. Donna Karan Esxence Jasmine is a beautiful, luminescent composition. Laventier by Callis Baker, one of my favorite perfumers, is absolutely stunning composition with this green note coming on top. It is so fresh. It's almost like the white petals are crushed between the green leaves. Ormond Jane's Sampakita is again another composition which is so fresh and alive. You just feel that jasmine is breathing right under your nose. Tom Ford Jasmine Rouge, Nasamoto Nuda, and Christian Dior Bar are the three beautifully constructed compositions which just do not overpower jasmine. It accentuates its qualities absolutely stunningly. Some of the jasmine fragrances which are mixed with other strong materials are, I think one should take note of one of these because they are very beautifully composed compositions. Anna Goutal's Songe, which takes sandalwood and vanilla, which really accentuates the sweet quality of jasmine. Guerlain's Mahora and Mayotte has a whooping dose of jasmine. Really, there is nothing in the market which has so much jasmine in it. But it also has so many other white florals that it becomes a bit overwhelming. Thierry Mugler Alien is, it just demands attention. It has an aura. It just claims to be, it has an amazing presence. Uzbek mixes it with freesia, and it's a sweet, completely different interpretation of jasmine. The different companies, Jasmine Journey mixes it with, it makes it some a kind of a Middle Eastern version of jasmine. It takes it with sandalwood and vanilla, and it's a beautiful composition. And Estee Lauder's Jasmine White Moss is in the same family as Chanel Cristal. It's classic and gorgeous. At the end, one must remember that jasmine is good for bringing love into your life, enhancing sexual desire, promoting optimism. It elevates depression, nervous exhaustion, self doubts, and both mental and physical importance. In every way, it helps us to connect with ourselves at much deeper emotional level and makes us fall in love with ourselves and the world around us. The ancient knew the power of jasmine, and in different ways they called it the gift from God. The jasmine is available in the market in various forms, and its benefits are so much more than my words can ever describe. I hope next time you see jasmine flower, whether it's somebody's backyard or in the market or a little girl selling it, you'll stop and appreciate its beauty and, and the gift that it brings with us, with its sheer existence, without inhibition. Thank you for coming on this Jasmine journey with me. Thank you. Sorry, do anybody has any questions? Sorry. Any questions? It comes from India. Oh, well, I got it from the, it's a fragrance, yeah. It's composed with different materials. It's got a little bit of spices and jasmine. Okay, it's no, it's not available in market in Europe. It's only available in India and only north of India. I showed you the map of India. If you go travel up north, that's where the ethers are mainly available. Maybe maybe I can figure it out. Yeah, that's a good reason to travel to India. Sorry, anybody has any more questions?